Council's live.
Thank you, Brianne. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, staff, council, and those that are joining us on the town's YouTube channel. This meeting is being held virtually. You can follow along with the agenda, which is on greaternapanee.com. With that, I will call the meeting to order. I will look for an adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Deputy Mayor Kaiser, Councillor Johnson, all in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, I will go on to a motion for the adoption of the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment as prepared. Councillor McCormack, Councillor Richardson, those are the minutes from February the 22nd. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Land severance application 5.1 land severance application PLCOR 2022-009 2825353 Ontario Inc. 291 Church Street. Legal description: Park Lot 20 Napanee. Michael, would you like to speak to this? And on both 5.1 as well as 6.1, have we had any correspondence or phone calls from people either for or against, or are we expecting people to speak to it in that manner this evening, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. For items 5.1 and 6.1, we've not received any inquiries from the public or statements or comments for or against. For item 5.1, I believe we have the applicant with us who can be admitted to the meeting now. The application is seeking to permit for a severance from property to allow for the construction of a semi-detached dwelling on the proposed severed parcel from 291 Church Street. Currently on the proposed severed parcel is the garage that serves 291 Church Street. So staff have proposed a condition that garage be demolished. I believe it is the applicant's intention to do so anyway. However, staff are recommending that it be included as a condition, and rezoning would be required to allow for the construction of the semi-detached dwelling. It is in the low density residential designation of the official plan, which allows for construction of semi-detached dwellings. However, the current zoning is residential type 1, which does not permit the construction of a semi-detached. So a rezoning would be required and would need to be approved by council and is included as a proposed condition number 4. So with that, if the committee has any questions, I believe either myself or the applicant, Mr. Wade Little, would be able to answer any questions.
Council questions directed to either Mr. Knowles or Mr. Little, and you can ask me, tell me who you're going to direct it to. I'll go with Councillor Pennell first, and then I'll go with Councillor McCormack. Councillor Richardson, I'll go with you after Councillor McCormack, please. Go ahead, Councillor Pennell.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Michael. Michael, do we see any issues with the proposal of the new driveway for 291? I'm familiar with the property, and it is getting kind of close to that corner. That corner is kind of sharp, and I'm just wondering if we foresee any issues with this.
Your Worship, we don't foresee any issues. I mean, since the existing property 291 Church Street, its access would be closer to the corner than the proposed severed lot. As well as 289 Church Street, staff do not see a concern with the proposal, especially due to the maximum speed limit posted for the area. So we have reviewed that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councillor McCormack.
Thank you, Worship. To Michael, I just want to confirm where the current garage is. I guess it's where the new driveway is going to be put. There's a line there, but it's not explicit.
Through your Worship, to Councillor McCormack, yes, that is correct. So the if you're looking at the sketch currently, the proposed lot line would essentially traverse through the current garage. I believe it's attached to the building, so it would need to be removed in its entirety. And a new driveway would need to be installed for 291 Church Street. So the garage would be situated partially on the proposed retained and on the proposed severed parcel. I hope that makes some sense. Unfortunately, it's not shown on the sketch currently, but it would be approximately halfway through the proposed severed parcel in a north-south sort of orientation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering, and I guess I could probably direct this towards the applicant or Michael, whichever is in the best position to answer it. But the existing residence at 291 Church Street, is it being occupied as a residence now, or what is the future intentions of that residence? I know when you look at it from the street view, it doesn't appear as though it's habitable.
Yeah, no, it's currently, when I purchased it, it was not inhabitable. I don't have any like real intentions with it other than just to kind of, if the severance goes through, excuse me, to resell the property and just looking to develop the vacant lot.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm just curious as to, because the lot that's being severed is obviously a smaller lot. The footprint that's on the lot being severed, though, is much larger than the footprint that's on the existing property. So I was just curious as to whether there's any future development that'll happen at 291 Church Street or not. And if there was, could the lot be severed in such a manner that it's a little more balanced as opposed to having one lot that's larger than the other?
Right, and I think I've tried to extend that lot line as close, like while maintaining the bylaw there of the setback for the side yard. I've pulled it over as far as I could. I've tried to make them as balanced as I can. I think like I just can't go any further towards the north there to do so. And then in terms of developing the current lot, it'll just stay as it is as a single family residential. And yeah, that would, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Richardson, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. The only other issues I had was the driveway as well. As I think Councillor Pennell addressed that as well. So I mean, obviously, everything we're doing these days, we're a little bit tender with respect to size of driveways and access to roadways. So we always got to keep that in mind as well. So,
Mr. Little, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, just there is
Okay.
there is already plans in motion for the new driveway. We've got elevations and permits ready to go. If the severance is a go ahead, so we have like plan for that.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Kaiser?
Thank you, Your Worship. I had two, and I guess I'll take the first one to Mr. Little directly, and that is, you referred to elevations for the new driveway. From street view, you can see that there are steps. There's quite an embankment approaching that corner of the property for 291. And where you're indicating the new driveway, there's actually concrete steps there. That's how steep the bank is. Are you going to have to excavate out and put in a retaining wall? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so we've already had locates done in that area. We've got the elevation. We've had people come out, so they're going to build like a little box of retaining walls in there, and then excavate the current steps that are in there, and then put a new walkway up there. So it's all we've got the quotes and like everything's ready to go on that. We're just kind of waiting on the go ahead here.
Okay, excellent. It sounds like you got that figured out. On the other one, on the proposed severed parcel, it looks like there's a hydro tower, which hydro and Bell, but it would be hydro first, that would be pretty much in the middle of the proposed new driveway. Am I seeing that wrong, or how is that going to be accommodated? It's set back from the paved roadway a bit. Can you talk about the existing hydro tower? It's effectively right beside the existing driveway, so it protrudes due east from the northeast corner of the garage. And you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that would have to be something that we don't have them marked on the current plan that we would have to account for. And I guess it'd be a discussion with Hydro One when we talk about bringing that new line in. And we might have to adjust for that by either, you're right, pulling that driveway closer over to one, probably the neighboring lot line, if it allows for that. Let's looking at the plan. Yeah, we would have to, yeah, that is something we would have to account for. We'd have to get measurements in terms of where that current location is to the lot line to see if we could maybe push that driveway over a little bit more.
Okay, and I guess I just want to follow that, Your Worship, to Michael Nobes. Is that something that we normally see comment on, our easements or hydro poles or anything like that? Is that something that we would normally hear a comment from the utility provider?
We didn't receive comment from Hydro One on this application, but if there is a requirement to relocate a pole, that can certainly be accommodated to allow for the construction of a driveway out of the way. I mean, unfortunately, Hydro One would put that cost on the applicant, but it is certainly a possibility.
Okay, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Okay, anything further from council? Seeing nothing, you do have a recommendation that we received for information, the technical report regarding application PLCON 2022-009, and further that the application to sever be granted subject to the conditions which are contained within your agenda. Council's wishes. Moved by Councillor Pennell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kaiser. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Councillor Norrie, you're frozen, I think.
I'm a yes. Yeah, it looks like I'm frozen, yes.
Yeah, okay, you're back again. Yep, motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Little.
Thank you.
6.1, minor variance application, PLVAR 2022-014, P and G Moore, County Road 9, west of 1848 and east of 1900 County Road 9. Legal description, part lot 5, concession 5, North Fredericksburg. Michael, on this one, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This application was before the committee previously, where the consent to sever a lot was granted. One of the conditions contained within that prior approval was that a minor variance be obtained for the retained lot's frontage. The retained lot has approximately 93.8 meters of frontage as identified on the reference plan that has been completed for the severed parcel, and 100 meters of road frontage would be required for non-residential uses to be allowed to continue on the parcel. It's a very small deficiency in frontage. Staff are certainly supportive of the request, as it is in keeping with the original spirit of the previous consent application, which was previously approved. One of the comments that was made at the consent approval stage was, I believe, Deputy Mayor Kaiser, and hoping to see the rear lot line of the proposed severed parcel to be coincident with the lot to the east. Staff discussed with the applicant the possibility of having that accomplished. However, we were of the understanding there are some natural features in the area there which make this rear lot line a good location, more or less. And the applicant was hoping to maintain this lot configuration. So just wanted to bring that to the committee's attention, just so everybody was aware. However, the requested variance is for 7 meters from the 100 meter requirement for non-residential rural uses. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Council, any questions of Michael on this minor variance application? Yeah, Councillor Richardson.
No, I'm going to make staff recommendation, Your Worship.
Okay, staff recommendation moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor McCormack. If there are no further comments or questions, all in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. Motion for adjournment, please. Deputy Mayor Kaiser, seconded by Councillor Canal. All in favor of that motion? Motion is carried. Thank you. We will